So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about how being vulnerable in your business or your relationships, how that can serve you. If you're interested in a video like that, please keep watching. So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, like I said, I want to talk about vulnerability. Now, I know this is going to be hard for me to say. I have the hardest time with that word. Vulnerable, being vulnerable. And so a lot of times when it comes to business, we are in more of a masculine energy. We are taught you have to grind, you have to force, you have to do all of these things that are more in the masculine energy. However, I want to talk about how vulnerability can help you in your business and in your relationships and how that's going to serve you. If you do not know who I am, my name is Amber Turner, and I am the author of You Choose Your Outfit, with outfit being the metaphor for your reality and or experience. I'm also the CEO of the Censored Apparel brand, and we believe in being bold, being loud, and being confident. And so when it comes to business, and sometimes even when it comes to relationships, whether it's networking or personal relationships, we are taught to be more in a masculine energy. Let's just say that. More of like protect ourselves, or more contraction type of energy. And I know even for me personally, I've been guilty of this, especially when it came to business, is that I was more in a masculine type of energy where I felt like I can't let people take advantage of me, and I have to put on this facade of not having emotions and things like that, which, you know, it serves us to an extent, but there's also power in vulnerability and the more feminine energy, and bringing a more feminine energy into business and our relationships. And I know even with romantic relationships, it is tough, because especially when you've encountered situations that make you feel a little guarded, we don't want to be vulnerable. It is very, very difficult to be vulnerable, which leads us to not really building that connection with that other person, which is what we really want. So that's what I want to talk about in this video, is how we can have vulnerability and how that serves us in our business and relationships, because it's so important. And I think that people think of vulnerability as a sign of weakness, and it really isn't. It is, to me, honestly, a sign of strength. Like, if I can be vulnerable with someone, I am being strong in who I am and having the strength to share who I am. And when, even in romantic relationships, when you can let your guard down and be vulnerable, that is a sign of strength. And I think we need to change that narrative of that it's a sign of weakness and we're being weak if we are vulnerable and we share certain things and aspects of ourselves. So how does vulnerability serve us in our business and relationships? Well, vulnerability builds connection. When someone can be vulnerable with someone else and let their guard down, that really builds connection. So if you're in a business where you're doing business with another business, especially when they have that strong connection with you, it makes business so much better, especially in relationships, our personal relationships, when we can be vulnerable, especially if we feel safe enough. I hope that you're doing business with someone that you feel safe with, and I hope that you're in a relationship or some sort of relationship with someone that you feel safe with, to actually be vulnerable with them. But when you can let your guard down and be vulnerable with them, it builds a really, really strong connection, and it's a win-win. So one of my favorite quotes, my favorite movie of like all time is You've Got Mail with Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, and they are like my favorite actors. But I digress. But one of the lines in that movie is that she says, well, actually, I think Tom Hanks says something along the lines of like, business, it's not personal. And she responds with, shouldn't everything start with being personal? And I honestly believe that. And I think that we have lost that personal touch when it comes to things. So social media probably facilitated that a little bit, but I think that even with business, it is important to have still that personal touch, that personal connection with people, because you are doing business with people. At the end of the day, there's not a robot behind that business, and there's not robots buying whatever you're selling. It is people. And so building that connection and actually establishing connection is so important. So the second point that I want to say when it comes to vulnerability and how that's going to serve you in your business or relationships is that it allows you to be more creative. Like when you can let your guard down and you can be in more of that feminine energy where you're more vulnerable and you're just letting things flow, you become more creative. You become more creative, which when it comes to business, especially when it comes to relationships, it's a beautiful thing. I think it's so beautiful to become creative, because especially when it comes to relationships, you hear this all the time. Things just got boring, things just got stale, or whatever the case is. But when you let your guard down and you become more vulnerable, you also become more creative. It's that creation side of you. And so it's just keeping things fresh and alive, especially when it comes to business. You always want to be creative and coming up with new things to be innovative. So being vulnerable enough to just like let your guard down, let go a little bit, and allow is going to allow creation and creativity in your relationships and business. And so for the final point I want to share in this video is that, being vulnerable when it comes to business, especially how that will serve you is that when it comes to marketing, typically if you're marketing to people, correct? So if you're marketing, if you market in a way that touches people's feelings and touches people's hearts, that is powerful. That is very, very powerful. When you can speak to your customers' hearts, when you can speak to your clients' hearts and feelings versus logic, one, it's more authentic, but it's so, so powerful. And people do business with people. They want to be able to connect with you. And so when it comes to marketing and advertising, we often think about, logic and, using certain copy, which is great. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. There's a time and place for everything, right? Because some people do buy off of logic, but other people do buy off of feelings. They want to feel a certain way, especially if you're marketing to a certain demographic. You want to be able to tap into that side and be a little vulnerable, especially when it comes to your narrative of your business, where you can actually be more authentic and reach people's hearts and feelings. That's all for this video. I really wanted to share that. I thought it was very, very powerful. I was actually watching a video from, Claudia Onida, I believe that's her name, off of YouTube, and she was talking about feminine energy and how powerful it is. And I know for me, especially when it came to business, I was more operating in more of a masculine type of energy because I felt like I had to, and now, and it didn't really serve me. I'm gonna be honest, it didn't serve me, and I don't feel like it served people that I was trying to reach and connect with. And I think that it's important because we all have both feminine and masculine energy, and both serve us in our lives. They both serve us in our lives. So sometimes you have to be in a more masculine energy versus a feminine energy, whatever the case is. But I think it's important to understand that the more feminine aspects, the more feminine energy that you have as well is just as important. And a lot of times when it comes to business and even relationships, when we're women, sometimes we take that masculine energy into relationships, and it's really hard to connect with people on a deeper level. And I've seen this even in my own life where it doesn't really serve us sometimes, and you have to be able to go from one energy to the next, and it's for the benefit of all, honestly. So I think it's important to actually talk about those aspects that are not so much about strategy and tactics all the time, because I know being that I've had a business coach, and I watch videos on business as well, and it's oftentimes talking in a certain way, which it, like I said, it does serve and benefit us in some aspects. But I also know that there's also benefit to being more vulnerable and having more creation and creativity in your business and relationships. So I just wanted to share that. And so that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. I do videos on business, life, and everything in between. That is all, and yeah, that is all. And I will check you guys in the next video. Peace.